Crash course for people who don't know what's going on with Taylor Swift and why people are hating on the album. Edit, I'm quite entertained by the multiple people accusing my post of being AI generated. Lol. Nah, I'm just an English teacher who loves to analyze and write for fun. I like Taylor Swift. I wouldn't call myself a diehard fan or Swiftie, but I've enjoyed some of her music. To me, this album fell flat in multiple ways. Here's a summary of why this album is not being well received, even among her fans. First of all, what made Taylor so beloved among girls and young women in the first place is she always felt relatable. Yes, she's famous, but she has always sung about emotions and struggles that are so innate to girlhood and maintained a down-to-earth persona that made people feel a very close emotional tie to her lyrics. Now this album has lyrics such as, "I like my friends cloaked in Gucci," that instantly feel very off-putting and shatters the image that people loved about her in the first place. A harsh reminder that she is, in fact, a rich billionaire at the end of the day who might not be relatable to us at all. Second of all, many people are saying her lyrics just aren't as poetic or artistic in this album compared to her previous work. Following her pop explosion in the 2010s, she matured into a more elevated songwriter and established herself as an extremely poetic songwriter, especially in Folklore and Evermore, her 2020-2021 albums that were less pop and more poetry. Her lyrics in this era were unique and had multiple layers of interpretation, encouraging fans to analyze and discuss the songs as literature, and she gained a lot of fans during this time. This set a standard that perhaps is impossibly high when someone wants to go back to just writing fun pop songs. I don't necessarily share the opinion that all of the writing on this album is trash, but I do think a lot of it is lazy compared to her previous work, especially for someone who referred to herself as an English teacher in her own engagement announcement post. Why in the world is Taylor Swift, one of our generation's most talented lyricists, writing an entire song, Wood, full of jokes about male anatomy? Why is she using phrases like trolling and memes, or girl bossed too close to the sun, or my dick's bigger, or I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage, that are so clearly meme/TikTok-esque and almost impossible to take seriously in what's supposed to be a slow, emotional song? These lyrics just won't age well, as opposed to the timeless songs she was capable of writing in the past. It feels like someone who's fighting to stay relevant by using cheap slang, and it backfires hard. Edit. Okay, fine. Retracting the statement about one of our generation's most talented lyricists because that's a biased stretch. But I do think she puts more care into her lyrics than most other Hot 100 mainstream artists. Additionally, a lot of people think some songs come across as a mean girl vibe. Sure, Taylor has made a name for herself by writing songs about exes, but I always defended that because she wasn't necessarily attacking them as people, but rather expressing her own emotion and heartbreak about the situation, which she's 100% allowed to do. This time feels more insidious than other times, though. Last year, a smaller artist, Charlie XCX, called Taylor a boring Barbie. And sure, that was rude, but now Taylor has gone and written an entire and very sarcastic diss track making fun of her, actually romantic. For the biggest star in the world to do that to a smaller fellow artist feels honestly just mean. She could have easily ignored that trivial remark. It's not being well received, even among her fans who were annoyed at the original comment in the first place. Another example is in the song Cancelled, where she brags that she likes her friends canceled, almost bragging that she likes being involved in scandal and controversy, which raises the question of who exactly she's hanging around with and why. Another controversy is in the song Wishlist, and this one is more politically based. Context. Last year, J.D. Vance made headlines for calling Kamala Harris a childless cat lady and claiming that women without children don't have a stake in the future of this country. Taylor Swift then soon after endorsed Kamala Harris, signing her Instagram post as childless cat lady, a direct attack on Vance. Then Donald Trump retaliated by infamously tweeting, "I hate Taylor Swift." Charlie Kirk also made comments about Taylor and Travis's engagement, stating that he hoped Taylor would submit to her husband and that they would have many children together, as that would put Taylor in her place as a woman. Now, fast forward to this album. In the song Wishlist, Taylor contrasts herself, who is dreaming of having children with Travis Kelce, with people who have 3 dogs that they call their kids. Of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to have children and expressing that in songwriting, but the specific juxtaposition of those 2 lines, given the events of last year, felt very intentional. Why couldn't she just sing about her own desires without making a dig and contrasting that with people who have dogs that they call their kids? So basically, last year she retaliated against the childless cat lady comments, but now suddenly she got engaged and was like, okay, bye losers, and basically called her single fans all childless cat ladies now too. It's sending the message that she's just catering to whoever is benefiting her at the moment. Her other criticisms online of potentially racist lyrics in this album, Onyx Night, have the whole block looking like you, they want a fat ass, this isn't savage, but I personally think those are stretches. This dogs that they call their kids controversy though, I think is not a stretch. That juxtaposition was not necessary, and after the very publicized events of last year, it's not a mistake. Taylor is a very smart businesswoman, and there's no way she didn't think this through, not after the President of the United States made a statement saying he hates her, and she received so much negative press from his side. Furthermore, the album just did not deliver the theme that Taylor promised. She promised her fans a concept album that shows behind the scenes of a performer, a showgirl, like a peek behind the curtain of her Eras tour. This excited fans into expecting a thoughtful album critiquing the nature of fame and perhaps the exhaustion of always being on a stage. Swift has explored these themes in her lyrics before, in multiple well-received previous songs, Clara Bow, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, etc., and that's what people were expecting more of. Pre-orders for the album boomed before anyone even heard it. However, the theme was overpromised and underdelivered, because basically none of the album addresses that. Instead, we got a song about her fiancés. Well, anyway. Lastly, the perceived capitalist greed that's taken over Taylor is turning a lot of people off. Taylor has a marketing tactic where she releases her album multiple times, flaunting different versions. Some artists release a deluxe album, and that's fine, but she has released 13 different versions of the album on opening week alone. Some reports even say there are 34 versions, but they're counting each format as a new version, X vinyl, CD, and cassette counting as 3 different versions, or 2 different vinyl colors counting separately as 2. Various formats are normal, of course, but my 13 count came from counting 13 literally sonically different versions of the same album. The album is identical, with only very minute differences, a different album cover, an acoustic/different version of a couple songs, and sometimes one new bonus song that is not available on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. So you have to buy each version's physical copy to hear each bonus song. Die-hard fans and collectors will buy all the versions, of course, but it gets to a point that it feels greedy, like she is taking advantage of her fans' loyalty, and all of the versions will count collectively towards the album's chart performance, which also just doesn't seem fair in competition with other artists who release their album only 1 or 2 times and have it fully accessible on streaming services. She received a lot of negative press for doing this with her 2024 album as well, and it's happening again. Overall, whether it's because of the lyrics, the personality, the politics, the theme, or the greed, fans are very disappointed in this album. But at the same time, by discussing it, we're helping the publicity. All press is good press, right? Shout out to you/Tripper74 for this amazing breakdown.